Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1 Tivat 6000 AD. The sky known as the false sky has a huge gap. In the end, it turned into a huge light curtain. Whether it's Mond or Liu, whether it's Inajima or Sumi, this miraculous phenomenon can be clearly seen even on the sky island high above. All of a sudden, on the Tivat continent, many forces began to speculate and suspect. What's more, the country of Zhai, which has a powerful military, even fired a huge laser towards the sky. But in the end, everything turned into peace. Any attack will not have even the slightest impact on it. At this moment, it is located in the palace of the Queen of the Winter Kingdom. Members of the Fools discussed this sudden change one after another. What is this? The last among fools, the young man codenamed Sun, stared at the huge light curtain in the sky in surprise. Even the doctor's weapon can't affect it. Could it be that this is the masterpiece of a certain god? Regarding the failure of the attack, the doctor was not surprised at all. Looking at his colleagues, he said blankly, "At least, ordinary humans will never be able to make such a thing. All the instruments I have made can't detect the existence of this light curtain. That is to say, apart from being able to see this thing, the fact is that this light curtain does not exist at all. Perhaps, this light curtain does not exist in the same dimension as us. For some reason, we can only observe each other with the naked eye." A huge doll, holding a beautiful petite girl in its arms, came to the two of them, and a pair of beautiful eyes quietly observed the sky. "Hey, even the doctor can't detect this light curtain, it's really a strange thing." On the throne, the Queen of the Winter Kingdom stared at the sky deeply, and murmured softly. "Is it another method of heaven?" Chuan Tivat, whether it is Mond or Liu, has more or less similar guesses. The only thing that can be confirmed at present is that this light curtain cannot be manufactured by manpower. Then, above the light curtain, a paragraph of text began to appear, attracting everyone's attention. Honkai name scene. Honkai name scene, what does this mean? Zhongli, do you know? In the Hall of Rebirth, a pretty girl in a black dress and a plum blossom hat asked strangely to a young man in fuchsia clothes who was drinking tea calmly. "Master Hu, this is probably about some famous scene." Even Zhongli paused for a moment before speaking, not quite sure in his heart. Really, the appearance of this light curtain is too unbelievable. Hey, this light curtain can actually appear directly in my Yuxin Pure Land. Even if I completely control this place, can't I detect the existence of this thing? It's just that I don't know what the meaning of this Honkai name scene is. Forget it, it's useless in eternity, so don't worry about it. Rice Wife, Castle Tower. After a certain girl in Yuxin Pure Land realized that the light curtain couldn't be cut off with a knife, she simply didn't bother to pay attention to it, and quietly closed her eyes. And far away in Sumeru, in a certain energy cage, a certain little loli dressed in green watched everything in the sky with great interest. Trapped in this cage, even as a grass god, she has few ways to pass the time. It seems that she will not feel too lonely in the future. No one knew that in a certain tea room in Liu, a girl with short brown hair and dressed as a maid was skillfully arranging refreshments. "Hey, is it actually the story of us destroying the world? By the way, Captain, do you know the origin of this light curtain?" Hearing this, Jiang Feng picked up the teacup handed over by the girl, thought for a moment and shook his head slightly. "Rita, I'm not very clear about this light curtain. Instead of asking me, it's better to ask Otto, it looks quite sci-fi. By the way, where did Otto go? I haven't seen him for a while, right?" Rita also poured a cup of tea for herself, and sat down beside Jiang Feng very naturally. Picking up the teacup and blowing gently, he said, "It seems that the former bishop was taken to Sumeru to play by Lord Teresa and Lord Karen." Hearing this, Jiang Feng nodded subtly, "And this place of Sumeru is also suitable for Otto. Different from the original world, when Jiang Feng traveled to the Honkai world, with his golden fingers, he became the strongest step by step. It also has the powerful power to reverse time and space, making the tree of imaginary numbers grow retrograde. And this also led to the fact that although Colin and Otto still have memories of the past, they have changed the reality by themselves. After Otto became a good man, he followed himself, one of his few friends, to the world of Tivat to settle down. In Otto's words, there is neither Honkai nor Karen's world of death, and it doesn't make any sense for him to stay there. What's more, Karen wanted to come and play together, and Otto didn't dare to say no to Karen. Properly a strict wife. Chapter 2. Number 0, did you create this sky screen? Secretly, Jiang Feng asked a vague figure in his mind. This is the strange spiritual body he made by borrowing Otto's void manzo and combining secret treasures from other worlds when he was in the collapsed world. Not only has the storage space and ever-changing ability of the void, but also has the deduction and analysis ability of the great sage in Menguangli, and can assist him in automatic cultivation. He even added the characteristic of Honkai to be strong when it is strong. And also has the ability of unlimited self-evolution. In order to come up with this stuff, he almost drained all his resources. Fortunately, when designing number 0, the composition structure he set for it is that everything is centered on his interests. In other words, no matter how number 0 evolves, he will never betray him. Otherwise, Jiang Feng really wouldn't have the guts to let such an awesome thing stay in his mind. About 3 years after he created number 0, a thing called the system forcibly bound him. Then he was easily manipulated by number 0. After no zero's analysis, the so-called system is actually a parasite that absorbs the evolution of the world's origin. Before it grows up, it has a symbiotic relationship with the so-called host. After the system grows completely, it will replace the host. What's more, it will devour the entire world so that it can evolve to a higher level. This is more like a way of cultivation for creatures like the system. In his mind, number 0 replied as a matter of course, it is indeed my handwriting. After absorbing the system's legacy, I acquired some of the system's characteristics. If it weren't for your reasons, I would have devoured a certain world in order to achieve complete evolution. After all, the desire to evolve is the instinct of all creatures, even me. But please rest assured, Master, I just rely on this light curtain to stimulate the emotions of some lucky creatures, so as to take the opportunity to absorb the overflowing essence. The source of these spills is similar to the waste produced during human metabolism, and will not cause any adverse effects on this world. Hearing this, Jiang Feng also nodded. Zero's desire for evolution is also clear in his heart. If he is allowed to evolve naturally, he may not even know that it will be the year of the monkey. But absorbing the source to accelerate its evolution can greatly shorten the time. Then, what famous scenes do you plan to show? At the moment Jiang Feng started to ask about number 0 with great interest. There are quite a few things of this type in the novel, but if you want to stimulate the emotions of people with luck, it shouldn't make much sense if it is too plain. Master, please look forward to it. Perhaps for Kiana and Mei, these famous scenes never happened in the Honkai world where you existed, but they are also precious memories of your past. Jiang Feng raised his eyebrows. Is number 0 going to show the story of the world collapsing without him? That's right, as a standard gangster, what he likes most is watching the changes in other people's expressions before and after watching the plot. Wow, is he a little psychopathic? With a hint of excitement, Jiang Feng hurriedly urged, number 0, hurry up. In Jiang Feng's mind, a smile similar to Jiang Feng's was drawn at the corner of the mouth of a phantom. These days, who is not a gangster? Honkai name scene. Tap 10, a salute is presented for the birth of the king, and the queen comes. At the same time, with the change of the light curtain in the sky, everyone in Tivat felt an uproar. Wow, Zhongli, take a quick look, the sky has changed, and a cannon is presented for the birth of the king. She is still a queen. Could it be that she is from the Winter Kingdom? Zhongli shook his head helplessly, then pushed Hu Tao on the stool and sat down. Hall Master, please don't get excited. It's a Honkai name scene, and it should have nothing to do with our Tivat continent. Hu Tao, wow, Zhongli, I can actually talk on the light curtain. Zhongli : Kiana Kislana, hey, Mei Mei. Is there any queen in our collapsed world? Raiden Mei, it seems that there is no. Xylan, idiot old lady, you really are an idiot, you will know everything after watching the video. Brynja Zajsik, Brynja thinks Sirin is right. Xyer, Sister Brynja. Dadalia, excuse me, are these the ones talking about the so-called collapsed world? I just don't know, how is your queen different from our lordly queen of solstice winter? Rosalind Cruz, Shikalofat, shut up, son. What kind of bullshit queen is this? How can she compare with us, Her Majesty the Empress? In the tea room, Jiang Feng was eating the cake that Rita stuffed into his mouth, and looked at the barrage on the sky with a slightly strange expression. Wow, how brave! Comparing the Queen of Ice with the Herrscher of the Sky, is there any need for comparison? Baronaz, humph. In our collapsed world, only our Queen Sirin, who is the Herrscher of the Sky, is qualified to be called a queen. I have never heard of a shitty queen. Dadalia, humph, you dare to insult Her Majesty the Queen, don't let me know where you are, or I won't have as much juice as you. Baronaz, my old lady is a judgment-level Honkai beast, so I'm afraid you won't succeed? I'm in Inajima City right now, come here if you have the ability. Sirin, stop talking, Bella, the video is starting to play. Chapter 3. In Inajima City, within the Wuyu Pavilion. Sirin helplessly hugged a beautiful girl who was also dressed in purple as her. This is the transformation state of the judgment-level Honkai beast, the Dragon Baronaz. Bella, don't forget what Jiang Feng said, don't let us collide with the creatures of this world at will. Immediately, Baronaz straightened his neck and said, My Lady Queen, this is not right. Her Lady Jiang Feng also said that if someone is shameless, let the other person know why the flowers are so red. Hey, well you Bella, even this king dares to talk back. Sirin immediately threw Baronaz to the ground, and pulled out her hands to the armpits of Baronaz. The two women kept rolling on the ground, laughing like silver bells endlessly. The girl in a pure white dress and another girl in a blood-red dress looked at each other with helplessness in their eyes. The master and servant started again. Sister Xier, don't worry about these two idiots, let's just watch the video, I don't know who made this sky. Okay, Sister Xier, and Brother Jiang Feng, don't let you swear. Hexy. In the sky, the picture of the light curtain began to change. The black long-haired girl in crimson simple armor was being strangled at the moment, and slowly lifted up. And the girl who was pinching the opponent's neck had beautiful long white hair, and her golden eyes were full of indifference and murderous intent. In Wuyu Pavilion, Kiana covered her mouth in disbelief, even Mei couldn't accept this scene. Teresa Apocalypse, Kiana, did you fight Mei? Kiana Kislana, nonsense, it's impossible, I don't have one, how could they be willing to beat Mei? Mei, Your Excellency, it is indeed impossible for Kiana to treat me like this. This light curtain may not be accurate. Arataki Ichido, ha! Maybe it's something in the future. In the future, Kiana beat up Mei. Kiana Kislana, wait, don't let me know where you are, I'll beat you up first. Juki Shinobu, sorry. My boss has a bad mind, please don't mind everyone, let's go, boss. Arataki Ichido, hey! Aaron, don't pick me up, I haven't finished yet. Ouch, ninja, I'm your boss, hey, don't do it, ouch. Auto Apocalypse, don't worry about Kiana, this may be something that happened in other parallel worlds, and it should have nothing to do with us. Kiana Kislana, even in a parallel world, I would never hit Mei. Don't let me know who made this light curtain, or I will definitely beat him up. In the words of Jiang Feng, beat it so FG hard it can't recognize it. In a certain tea room in Liu, the corners of Jiang Feng's eyes couldn't help twitching. What the hell, is Qiana going to beat me up? Rita looked at Jiang Feng with a strange look, and asked in doubt, Master Captain, is there something wrong with your body? Hearing this, Jiang Feng quickly sipped his tea. It was 72 degrees, a little hot. Ahem, it's okay. Rita. Qiana. Mei slowly raised her hand, looking at Qiana's pupils with distressed eyes. A tear fell from the corner of Qiana's eye, and then a momentary clarity flashed in her eyes. She squatted on the ground with her head in her arms and screamed in pain. Soon, a smile appeared on the corner of Qiana's mouth, and her voice gradually became indifferent. He. Qiana covered her eyes with one hand, and slowly stood up again. The blue pupils representing reason were gone, only the oppressive golden eyes remained. A dark lightning-like substance shot from Qiana's body to the sky until a hole was opened in the sky, and a huge temple-level Honkai beast struggled out of the hole, and raised the lance and stabbed Mei. The powerful force sent Yi Bang flying, and rolled over a dozen times. When Mei raised her head again, the Honkai beast had already arrived above her, and was about to finish her off with one blow. On the Tivat continent, Qiana covered her eyes with her hands. Like an ostrich, she didn't dare to look anymore. This Qiana is too much, how can she hit Mei so hard? Fortunately, the attack of the Honkai beast was stopped. It was the anti-entropy Titan mecha. Countless mechas swarmed past Mei, and their target was Qiana, the terrifying Herrscher of the sky. In this regard, Qiana stared at the many Titan mechs with disdain. Open your hands slightly, step into the void step by step, and walk towards the sky. Honkai is so intense that it can turn into a dress on Qiana's body, and the jet of black lightning tears apart one gap after another in the air. Qiana raised her hands high and swung her coldly downwards. Countless Honkai beasts squeezed out of the cracks, fighting frantically with the titans in the sea of mechanical steel. Magnificent music sounded on the battlefield. This is the birth of a king. Human beings, your existence is a mistake, war, deceit, jealousy, greed. You have made me lose everything. Today, I will devour everything. Because of me, it is Honkai. Chapter 4. Under the pursuit of countless Honkai beasts, countless Titan mechas had no choice but to form a straight line, hoping to form a line of defense that could intercept the huge Honkai beast ocean. A huge energy wall separates it from the Honkai beasts. Even so. It's only a matter of time before the temple-level Honkai beast's sharp spear penetrates its energy wall. Fortunately, anti-entropy has already prepared for this, and the blood-red painted mechas have already been filled. This is anti-entropy's long-range support mecha, the Thunder Mecha. In an instant, countless missiles were launched, turning into a starry sky and igniting the entire night. In Haidong Kingdom, a certain blue figure with a mask paused slightly. Daughtery, this girl named Qiana is doomed. With this level of attack, even a demon god can't get away with it. The sudden appearance of the barrage seemed to bring everyone in Tivat back to their senses. The picture was so shocking that they all forgot to post the barrage. Just when they wanted to express their views one after another, I saw a contemptuous smile on the corner of the girl's mouth named Qiana. Facing the countless missiles fired by the Thunder Mechas, which are powerful enough to wipe out a city in an instant, Qiana smiled disdainfully. Qiana stretched out a small white hand, as if it was so ridiculous that she wanted to face the power of human technology with one hand. However, after Qiana snapped her fingers lightly, countless small light curtains appeared in front of those missiles, storing them all. In her hand, she is gently playing with an energy ball, as if pinching it at will. Immediately, those light curtains that disappeared reappeared, surrounding many anti-entropy mechs. The light flashed, and countless missiles that had been swallowed up appeared again. But in a short while, the entire land was completely turned into ruins, and no mecha survived. The people who originally wanted to send the barrage felt as if their necks were pinched at this moment, and they only felt a burst of difficulty breathing. In his eyes, there was endless shock. What's more, the guy codenamed Doctor, who is located in the country of the most winter, even slammed the table. The eyes are filled with endless heat. If you get this kind of power, what kind of bullshit gods, what kind of heavenly principles are nothing more than mediocrity? Baronaz, wow! It's me, it's me! Sirin, Bella, you dare to betray me! Baronaz, your Majesty Queen, you are so stupid, haven't you noticed yet? This idiot Qiana is not actually Qiana, although I don't know what happened, but the feeling Qiana gave me in this video is that you're Lady Queen. Silen, hey? Why am I beating up Mei when I'm full? If I want to be beaten, I'll beat Qiana, and why do I look like an idiot old lady? Qiana Kislana, stupid Sirin, don't go too far. Silen, stupid Qiana, fool, idiot, paramecium. Qiana Kislana, Gaia. I'm going to my mother to sue you, and let my mother ignore you for 3 days. Xylan, cut it, I will sue the little brat who won't grow up. The huge dragon, the judgment-level Honkai beast soars in the sky, and finally stops respectfully behind Qiana. She is the companion Honkai Baronaz of the Herrscher of the Sky, Sirin's closest and trusted partner. In the sky, everyone at this moment was already arguing. Some people doubted Qiana's identity. Some people questioned the strength of the lawyer. What's more, I don't believe that this is really wanting to have a fair 1v1 duel with the so-called Herrscher of the Sky. Juki Shinobi, boss idiot, how could you be the opponent of Herrscher? Please stop making trouble. Arataka Yudu, nonsense, my uncle has never lost to Do Chong, so am I afraid of her? Qiana Kislana, hehe, this lady can directly use Honkai to strengthen other creatures, fighting insects? Even if you use tigers and my worms, you can overturn them. Arataki Ichito, impossible, absolutely impossible. Inajima City, right? Waiting for this uncle to come to you. Ouch! Ren, you hit me again, I'm your boss, I don't want to lose face. Looking at the cheerful barrage, Jiang Feng couldn't help but laugh out loud. It seems that his approach is indeed correct. Qiana is still the carefree Qiana, the price of growing up is still too cruel for Qiana. Such an ending where everyone exists may be the best. When there is nothing to do, we will travel to other worlds together. Harita, why didn't you see Alicia and the others? Jiang Feng blew on the heat on the teacup, and asked with some doubts. Rita looked at Jiang Feng with a soft expression, and said lightly, I heard from Miss Alicia that she is going to take everyone from the Golden Garden to play in another world. I left 3 days ago. It seems that I have had a good time and have no plans to come back now. Jiang Feng nodded, it was indeed something Ellie could do. I just feel sorry for this guy Su, I'm afraid he will be used as a teleporter for the whole courtyard. After all, the enhanced version of the Thousand Worlds 1 vehicle is still in Su's hands. There are still thousands of culpas, and the chef will definitely not be able to escape. Now he can imagine Qianji sending telegrams while cooking. Chapter 5 Mond, within the Zephyr Nights. At this moment, the deputy head, Qing, was looking at the information in his hand with a headache. Qing, don't be too tired, take a rest. Beside him, a girl in a purple magic robe held a cup of coffee and put it in front of Captain Qing. Qing shook her head lightly, and said helplessly. No. Now that the problem of Armand's wind dragon has not been resolved, this weird light curtain suddenly appeared in the sky. Now this Haidong kingdom is even saying that they have weapons similar to the mechas in the light curtain, and the threat is beyond words. I have to find a way to let Mon survive this crisis, otherwise how can I be worthy of the trust of the leader? Sighing lightly, Lisa also looked helpless. For the toughness of Haidong kingdom, she has no good solution. Since Commander Falga left with most of Mon's combat power, Feng Shen may not have appeared for a long time, so that the current Winter Kingdom is extremely tough in the face of Mond, who has lost most of his combat power. The doctor, who is the second seat of the fools, even led the Dragon USA to attack Mond. Although there is no evidence, everyone knows it well. If it weren't for his lack of strength and lack of confidence, Mond would have killed the doctor long ago. Qing rubbed the center of her eyebrows helplessly, thought for a moment and suddenly asked, "By the way, why haven't I seen Barbara recently?" Lisa was speechless for a moment. "Fortunately, you are still an older sister. I don't know what my younger sister is doing recently. I heard that Barbara recently made a friend named Wendy. The two seem to have gone out to gather medicine." Hearing this, Qin Meng opened her eyes wide. "What? It's been so dangerous recently, why does Barbara go out to collect medicine? Lisa, don't stop me. Just relying on that bard, what would the two of them do if they were in danger?" Lisa said with a strange expression. "Ah? What bard? I heard that Miss Wendy is a traveler. Although she also likes to sing, she has nothing to do with bards, right? Qin. Girl." At this moment, outside the city of Mond, a pure white girl named Barbara is carefully hiding behind a big tree with a pure green girl named Wendy. A young man dressed in green was carefully stroking a giant green dragon. It is Barbatos, the wind god of Mond, and the wind dragon, one of the guardians of the Four Winds. "Wendy, let's be careful, this Feng Malong is very dangerous." "Beside," Barbara said to Wendy cautiously. The latter looked at Wendy, who was stroking the dragon, with a strange expression. Is it dangerous?" Barbara nodded solemnly. Although this scene is very gentle now, the behavior of Feng Malong was not like this before, it was very violent. "This person also looks very problematic, be careful." Hearing this, Wendy felt a burst of embarrassment. In fact, she really wanted to say that she could slap this Feng Malong on the ground with a single slap. Ever since Jiang Feng taught her to fully control the authority of her Herrscher of the Wind, to control the ideal fluid, she once had a discussion with Kiana Mei and Bunonaya after they were tempered. Although he failed to defeat the three of them, it is already very powerful to entangle the other three Herrschers with the power of the uniform Herrscher. But, who made Barbara the first friend she made in this world? It's not good if you act too strong and scare your friends. A gust of wind elemental waved behind another tree. Feng Malong suddenly became irritable, and Wendy's face turned dark. After finally calming down Tuolin, he was irritated again. Wendy was so angry that her whole braid lit up. "Who?" Behind the big tree, a certain blonde girl who was hiding was shivering with a certain emergency food. The Feng Malong roared angrily and patted Wendy. In the end, Wendy had no choice but to disappear as a wisp of breeze, and the Feng Malong flew towards the sky violently. Afterwards, the blonde girl patted her chest and came out from behind the tree with lingering fear. "It was so dangerous, it was almost blown away, but fortunately it caught your hair," Paimon said with a face full of palpitations. But Ying Mei rolled her eyes speechlessly when she listened. "I almost lost my hair, and you're still ashamed to say it. But, are you two coming out yet?" After tidying up her attire a little, Ying Mei said calmly. Just now, she discovered Barbara and Wendy. It's just that Feng Malong was on the spot, and it was hard for her to say it. Now that the danger is over, she naturally wants to meet her peers. "Sorry, we didn't mean to hide from you." Barbara walked out holding Wendy's hand, and said to Ying Mei with an apologetic expression. The latter just waved his hand indifferently. "It's okay, I understand very well. By the way, are you guys from Mond? I'm a traveler from outside the world. This is my good partner Paimon. We're going to Mon City." Saying that, Ying Mei and Paimon used cover and put away a blood-colored teardrop crystal that looked valuable. "Well, I'm a nun from the church. My name is Barbara. This is my friend Wendy. Let us take you to Mon City." Ying Mei's face brightened. It's always good to have a local guide the way, so she agreed repeatedly. Okay, thank you Miss Barbara and Miss Wendy. Chapter 6. Outside the city of Mond, a girl as enthusiastic as a flame joined Barbara and others. Amber looked curiously at Ying Mei and Peimen who looked blank. You mean, there have been many travelers like me coming to Tivat from outside the world recently? Ying Mei pointed to her nose in disbelief, her eyes fixed on Amber, as if she wanted to see something from her expression. That's right. This Miss Wendy is from outside the world. Barbara also said in a timely manner, that's right, Wendy also taught me a lot of performance skills outside the world, and she can also sing a lot of music outside the world. The compliments of the two made Wendy feel embarrassed, and she said shyly, no, because I didn't have anything to do at the time and it was boring, so Jiang Feng suggested that I find something to do, such as painting, music or food is okay. Finally, after I tried it, I found that listening to music is something that can calm people's hearts, and then I gradually started to like singing. Most of the skills were taught by Senior Qi Luo. Ying Mei was taken aback for a moment. Hey, you mean Jiang Feng? Why does this person sound familiar to me, as if I've heard it somewhere before? Peimen also quickly said, yes, I have the same feeling. Amber clutched his chin, thought for a while and said, probably, they are all from the collapsed world, didn't they just show the video of their world on the sky screen before? It seems that a few people from the collapsed world mentioned coming from Jiang Feng. Barbara's eyes widened. People from the Honkai world. Speaking of which, she didn't know that Wendy was also from the Honkai world. Is Wendy as strong as those people on the sky? I can't compare. I can beat Kiana, a scumbag, to tears by myself. Wendy touched her nose and said modestly. Everyone nodded noncommittally, and didn't take it too seriously. Well, Barbara, you and Wendy should take Ying and Peimen back to Mon City first. I actually came out this time to inspect the surroundings and clear the monsters around Mon City. Before Amber finished speaking, Barbara took her hand and said firmly, I want to help too. After that, it was Wendy, Ying Mei and others. Actually, I can also help. Although I am just an ordinary Valkyrie, I can still deal with some monsters. Wendy thought for a moment about the scene where she once defeated the Honkai Emperor with a single wind blade, and replied with a little confidence. Seeing everyone's attitude, Amber was also moved. Good sister. Okay, then let's finish the investigation mission as soon as possible and return to Mon City, and then I will treat you to a big meal. Amber said happily. As everyone gradually explored, they soon discovered a Kaihokia camp, which was very close to Mon City. Amber frowned and said, there are Kaihokia people stationed so close to Mond? I have a bad feeling. Clean up these guys first, otherwise it will be very troublesome in the future. Amber was about to use his bow to kill the Kaihokia people. Beside Barbara, Wendy had silently pulled out a very beautiful rifle from the void. Boom! After a gunshot, the wandering Kaihokia man was directly blown out of his head. This is... Amber stared at the rifle, his eyes widened. This thing is much easier to use than bows and arrows. Cough, this is a toy given to me by Jiang Feng. Well, I mean a self-defense weapon, it seems to be called Sky AK, which can absorb elements in the air to generate bullets, and the power of the God's Eye is even stronger when held by the owner of the Eye of God. Hearing this, Amber and Barbara nodded, they are indeed good weapons. No, it should be said to be an artifact. Sure enough, people from the collapsed world, even ordinary people without the eyes of God, are not easy. Afterwards, several people quickly rushed into the Kaihokia camp. With all kinds of colorful skills flying, and the gunshots of da-da-da, the people of Kaihokia have not realized what happened. The entire camp was turned into ruins. Phew, it's so dangerous, but fortunately, no one was injured. Barbara had a look of fear and no danger. Paimon looked at the ruins of the Kaihokia people's camp, and several question marks appeared on his forehead. If the Kaihokia people who have long since died could hear what Barbara said, they might be so angry that they would come back to life. Okay, since the Kaihokia people have solved it, let's go back to Mond, and I'll treat you to a big meal. It's the first time you've come to Mond, Ying, I'll give you another gift later. With his hips akimbo, Amber spoke enthusiastically to everyone. Hearing this, Wendy also thought of the gift Barbara gave her, Wings of Wind, probably the same thing, right? Not long after, everyone returned to Mon City, and Amber fulfilled his promise by giving Ying Mei a Wing of Wind. This is probably one of the specialties that is more representative of Mond. Under Amber's guidance, Ying Mei didn't encounter any difficulties, so she slid down from the high place with ease. Although she can fly herself, Wendy is still very interested in props full of local characteristics like wind wings. He and Barbara were discussing the flight issue of Ying Mei enthusiastically below. Chapter 7. Just as Ying Mei was about to land, a sudden change occurred. The violent hurricane suddenly began to rage in the city of Mond, and the giant green dragon, full of rage and anger, came back for revenge. Fluorescent! Amber yelled worriedly, but there was nothing he could do. The wind blown up by the Feng Malong made it impossible for Ying to land at all, and she rolled wantonly in the turbulence of the sky. Wendy narrowed her eyes slightly, and was about to disperse the strong wind in the sky, but felt a divine wind element force. After thinking for a while, Wendy gave up her plan to intervene. Since someone has already done something, she naturally doesn't have to expose it. After all, being able to use elemental power without the eye of God should be quite a blast in the eyes of people in this world. Although, what she uses is not pure elemental force, it may be more accurate to call it an ideal fluid. There is no stickiness, whether it is a hurricane or a water magnetic field, or even anything that can flow, it will become a force capable of cutting all substances in its hands. Using its characteristics, it can even achieve the ability to travel through any distance with zero time difference. It is not teleportation, but the result is the same as teleportation. Basically, Herrscher's authority is outrageous. As long as she has enough knowledge of her own authority, any Herrscher can easily destroy the world with a wave of her hand. With Wendy's help, Ying Mei, who lost her balance in the air and was about to fall, stabilized her figure in the air. Wendy's voice was like a ray of wind whispering in her ear, "It is I who let the Millennium Wind help you so that you will not fall. Now imagine that you can restrain this ray of wind and let it break through the clouds." Paimon exclaimed, "This voice is so familiar, I remember, that green guy." Wendy. "Hey, that's not right, how did the flight translator hear it?" Hiding in the dark, Wendy complained speechlessly. Shouldn't he be amazed at this amazing power first, wondering who is helping him, and then speculate on his identity? But Paimon didn't follow the routine. Of course Ying Mei could hear it herself, after all, the scene at that time really affected her deeply, and it was hard to forget it. Okay, it's not convenient for me to come forward now, and Turin has his own difficulties, can you please get rid of it first? Mond cannot be destroyed any longer. There was a hint of seriousness in Wendy's tone, although he often did not do business, was lazy, and liked to touch fish. But Mond is his territory anyway, and Turin is also his friend. Being used by the abyss like this, even Wendy can't have a good temper. Ying Mei is also aware of the seriousness of the matter, let alone looking for her brother. If Mond is destroyed, no one will be in the mood to help her find her brother. Therefore, Ying Mei also launched a counterattack against Feng Malong according to Wendy's instructions. Even though she had lost her previous power, she had possessed powerful power at least once, and the power of the wind element quickly adapted to her in her hands. Not long after eliminating a poisonous blood clot on Feng Malong's back, he finally drove Feng Malong away. As Ying Mei landed safely, Amber and Barbara happily ran towards her. "Papa! You actually have the power to fight the dragon. Are you our guest or a new storm?" Then, naturally, Ying Mei was invited to the Knights of the West Wind to discuss how to deal with the Wind Demon Dragon. By the way, Wendy, who is Barbara's friend, was also invited over. In the West Wind Knights, just as everyone was preparing to discuss, the light curtain in the sky that had been silent for a long time started to move again. Honkai name scene. TAP 9, Angel Reconstruction, Baby Carriage, Nursery Rhymes. Daughtery, hat, is it finally updated? I don't know, what kind of technology will this video show? I am really more and more curious. Kecking, Baby Carriage, Nursery Rhymes? What the hell kind of title is this? It's inexplicable. Bronia Zachsik, I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling. Sierfulia, Table Elder Sister Bunonaya, Sier will always be with you. Sierflari, in het, let's just agree with Xier. Kaya, hey, there are actually two people with the same name, or is it one person with a split personality? Sierflari, in ha, who is this idiot? Sierfulia, Table Sister Sier, Brother Jiang Feng won't let you curse. Fuhua, Law of Knowledge hey? Why can't you scold? If you can't win the scolding, I asked Brother G to come with me to help Hexy scold those who dare to bully us. Hugh Brian, let you see what is called the Extreme East Devil's Nest, Herrscher Academy. Jiang Feng, cough cough, hey enough for you, what is the Extreme East Magic Cave, be normal. Fuhua, Law of Consciousness Captain, tell me whether our Valkyrie Academy's entrance law is high or not. Wool Yang Tower Jitsi, the mood is quite complicated. Walter Young, indeed. Wool Yang Tajitsi, B.D. Walter, you, a Herrscher of the past, are too embarrassed to speak, and everyone has become a Herrscher behind my back, right? Don't take me alone. Teresa Apocalypse. Chapter 8. Jiang Feng, alright, stop arguing, the video is about to start, and we are not the only ones in the sky who broke the world. Everyone in Twat, how the hell do you know that you are not the only ones who destroyed the world? On the Tivat continent, everyone was speechless for a while. Fortunately, under Jiang Feng's comfort, He Xi and He Fu had no intention of sending a telegram. Above the sky, the video also started playing. In a space full of memory fragments, a girl with silver hair and curly twin ponytails walked slowly. The leg armor is broken and looks bruised. Sierflari, list it's Bunonaya's sister. Hearing this, everyone in Tivat was taken aback. This Bunonaya is actually just such a little girl who looks only 13 or 14 years old. Why is it so hurt at such an age? It's like going through a big battle. Such doubts lingered in the hearts of everyone. Lei Movie, this girl looks like she just got off the battlefield, so she actually let such a young child go to the battlefield? It seems that the collapse of the world is not very good. Eightfold God's Son, Allah Allah. My friend, don't you want to stay in the pure land of one heart and pursue eternal life? Is watching videos also pursuing eternity? Lei Movie. In the pure land of one mind, Lei Movie gritted his teeth and squeezed his fists bitterly. The stinky fox Yashenza doesn't come early or late, but she comes as soon as she speaks. Could it be that he was just waiting for her to speak out before coming out to catch her? This scumbag is really going too far. Xier. Bunonaya will definitely rescue you. In that mysterious space, Bunonaya secretly said in her heart. The love for Sier supports Bunonaya's body that is on the verge of collapse, and keeps moving forward. The light in Xier's eyes moved slightly, she already knew what scene it was. It was the scene when her favorite Bunonaya sister came to the Quantum Sea to rescue her. But, why didn't I see Brother Jiang Feng? After all, Brother Jiang Feng had a big sword in his hand back then, and he easily tore a huge gap in the Quantum Sea. Perhaps, this is really a parallel world without Brother Jiang Feng, how cruel it would be. Bronia found the right position, grasped the void, and the space of memory suddenly collapsed into fragments. A dark red crystal appeared in front of Banonaya, which is exactly Banonaya's goal this time, the first Herrscher, the core of the Herrscher with the power of understanding and creation. As long as you have this Herrscher core, you can turn into a Herrscher of reason. With the support of enough knowledge, you can theoretically pursue the ultimate power. However, how can the core of the Herrscher be easily controlled by mere humans? At the moment Banonaya held the Herrscher's core, countless Honkai could pour out from the Herrscher's core. Even though Banonaya has a fairly good Honkai adaptability, it is still extremely painful to be eroded by this huge Honkai energy. The body and spirit began to collapse rapidly under the erosion of the huge amount of Honkai energy, and the black and purple lines spread crazily all over her body. Also, Banonaya's actions also attracted the attention of an existence in the quantum sea. Composed of numerous Honkai energy, cloth-like tentacles invaded from outside the space, wrapping Banonaya in groups, trying to hand her over to death here. The crown of Banonaya's clenched teeth, at this moment, she no longer has the strength to resist. It is her love for Xier that has been supporting her. But after a while, Banonaya, whose body had already collapsed, let go of the Herrscher core in her hand, and her consciousness gradually began to blur. Looking at the picture in the sky, whether it is the people in Tivat or the Valkyries in the collapsed world, they all feel a sore nose at this moment. She just wanted to save her sister, so what's wrong with her? Why? It seemed that Tianli heard the cry of everyone's heart. The screen changed. In the dark space, Banonaya is slowly falling like a drowning person. Suddenly, a blue butterfly appeared in the picture and landed on Banonaya's finger. Bronia, I heard Seal's call. When she opened her eyes, Seal was holding out her hand, smiling at her. Bronia stretched out her hand towards Xier with all her strength, until a ray of light suddenly bloomed. This is the core of the Herrscher of Reason. Bronia has been recognized by the core of the Herrscher of Reason, and she is the new generation of Herrscher of Reason. The azure blue light broke through the shackles of the Honkai beast. The gift that Xier and Banonaya gave to Banonaya when they parted, the reloading bunny also ushered in a new life at this moment. That is a cool mecha dressed in azure blue and full of technological style. Guarding behind Banonaya like a knight. The Herrscher's core turned into blue butterflies and flew around, and finally embedded itself in Banonaya's chest. At this moment, with the blessing of the Herrscher's core, Banonaya's state reached its peak. And he, who was watching secretly, finally appeared in front of Banonaya. This is the judgment level Honkai beast, Thlalik. This is an existence named after God, representing absolute power. Chapter 9. At the same time, when everyone was watching the video of the sky screen intently, a childish music with a milky sound came from above the light screen. It is Cyber Angel sung by Herrscher. Bronia ran step by step on the pitch-black ground, a pair of small wheels formed from Honkai energy on her legs. Like roller skating, moving forward freely and unrestrainedly. A huge cloth belt slammed down from the air, but it was easily dodged by Banonaya, who had already been disciplined. Instead, facing the cloth belt, Banonaya slid towards the high place step by step, just as she was flying high into the sky. Thlalik seized the opportunity to gather a huge amount of energy in the end, and he wanted to kill Banonaya with one blow while she was unable to change her posture in the air. The dazzling light shoots towards Banonaya fiercely, the power that can easily destroy a city, but it shoots out in all directions the moment it hits Banonaya, as if some strange force forced it to life separate. As the dense smoke dissipated, following the law of smoke without injury, Banonaya reappeared. It was the armored bunny that Seal gave to Banonaya back then. Today, after ushering in a new life, just a shield that was randomly stretched can easily defuse Thlalik's powerful attack. Rider Banonaya let out a soft snort, followed by the unique mechanical sound of the reloading bunny, and a wonderful scene began to appear, and at the same time, the background music of Cyber Angel also reached its climax, and children's songs started. In the very rhythmic background music, the reloading bunny gradually turned into a cool motorcycle. The people in Tivat watched the video commentary with weird faces and listened to the milky singing. From this moment on, they realized why the title had the word nursery song. Not to mention, it's quite fitting. But at the same time, everyone had a preliminary inference about the strength of the Herrscher of Reason. Just reloading Xiaotu, a mecha that evolved due to the power of the Herrscher of Reason, already possessed such a powerful defense. So, what are the various postures of its attack? With all kinds of complicated emotions in their hearts, everyone submerged in their hearts and prepared to watch the video patiently. Even Arataki Ichito, who wanted to speak, shut his mouth sincerely after seeing Kuki Shinobi raising his fist with a smile. Bunonaya sat on the motorcycle and easily avoided the slap of Tlaloq's arm. A road formed by the power of the Herrscher made Bunonaya ride the motorcycle as if she was flying in the sky. Every place the motorcycle has driven, there is an illusory laser cannon left behind. Even in the air, the motorcycle is extremely flexible, easily avoiding the blockade of countless bag-like tentacles. When it was about to be overtaken by it, Bunonaya jumped off the motorcycle and slid on its tentacles. Until the end, and then returned to the motorcycle again, the sky is already densely covered with countless blue cannons. Bronia floats in the sky, looking down at Tlaloq below. The road created by the Herrscher's authority extends to the front of Tlaloq. Bunonaya drove the speed of the motorcycle to the limit, exceeding the speed of 999 km per hour, and smashed Tlaloq's body in the blink of an eye. On the other hand, even if you use your huge arms to block it, it won't help at all. Above the sky, the reloaded bunny turned into a mecha again, holding Bunonaya's hand like a gentleman, tossing and turning in the air. At the same time, Bunonaya has also ushered in the final stage of legalization. Her silver-grey spiral hair stretches in all directions, and Honkai can form a luxurious dress on her body, and the long skirt flutters in the breeze. It was also at this time that all the laser cannons turned from virtual to real at this moment and turned into real objects. Countless lasers blasted towards Tlaloq, and the powerful energy output made Tlaloq, who was seriously injured by Bunonaya, unable to persist at all, and instantly turned into a handful of ashes. Reloading Bunny protects Bunonaya with one hand, and the latter gazes softly at the sky until she looks at Sieter through the screen. Sieter, Bunonaya is here to find you. In the subsequent video, there is a scene of blue butterflies flying in the sea of quantum. Everyone in Tivat also understood that the video was probably over. There was no pause at all, and the barrage poured out crazily at this moment. Daughtery, I was already mentally prepared, but the power of the Herrscher of Daniel still makes me feel incredible. I am afraid that if any researcher gets this power, it will become extremely terrifying, right? At the same time, in the heart of the doctor, there is also an infinite desire for the power of the Herrscher of Reason. He must obtain this power. Only a genius like him can perfectly display the power of the Herrscher of Reason. Zhongli, incredibly powerful, maybe even a demon god can't match it. Azar, what kind of bullshit lawmaker, just this kind of rubbish is worthy of comparison with gods, ignorant guy. With the wisdom of my Sumeru, I can easily create a powerful existence that surpasses this so-called Herrscher. Fu Hua, law of knowledge Hui? Lao Deng, you are in Sumeru, right? Wait, I will come to reel you offline now. How dare you look down on Lawrence, don't you? Nazada, Miss Fu Hua, please don't pay attention, this is Azar's personal behavior and has nothing to do with Sumi. Azar, Nazada, shut up, who allowed you to speak? Sumeru, in the great sage's office, Azar suddenly opened his eyes wide, his expression flustered. How could the god of grass speak on this screen of light? If it was exposed that he imprisoned the gods, he would definitely not have any good juice to eat. And things, as Azar had guessed, developed towards the worst direction. Nazada, I am Naxada, Sumi's new god of grass. If Miss Fu Hua wants to settle with Azar, please don't hurt other innocent people in Sumi. Chapter 10. Azar, you fart, you liar, no one will believe that our Sumi grass god is a little girl with no hair at all, right? Sino: Azar, hat, you still want to pretend to be the grass god of Sumi, how stupid. In the holy order, the current great sage Azar wiped the cold sweat from his forehead with his hands. Fortunately, except for a few of his own people, no one knew that Naxita was the grass god of Sumeru. As the great sage of Sumeru, if he thinks about it, he just needs to stand up and deny it, so what if you are really the god of grass? He said no, then it was not. The entire Sumi, who dares to resist him? In his heart, Azar also sneered, it seems that the little auspicious grass king is still living too comfortably. After this incident is over, he must torture this useless god severely. However, what Azar didn't know was that in a certain tea room in Liu, Jiang Feng looked at the barrage of Azar jumping with displeasure. Fingers tapped rhythmically on the table. Jiang Feng at Otto, in Sumeru? Otto Apocalypse, yes, my friend, what's the matter? Otto, who looked like a human-shaped vehicle, was carrying all kinds of Sumeru's specialties in his hand, and replied to Jiang Feng with some doubts. Jiang Feng, killed Azar, Naxita, the little grass god, looks quite similar to your granddaughter Teresa, and is being imprisoned by Azar in Sumi's Jingshan palace inside. Jiang Feng, I don't really like the way this guy barks. Azar, are you people who broke the world a bunch of brainless idiots? I am the great sage of Sumeru, will I imprison our god? What a joke! Azar, you guys, are you trying to start a war against Sumi? In the faculty of order, Azar pretended to be calm and sent barrages, trying to confuse the matter of imprisoning the gods. However, his great sage's speech was ignored by no one except the local people of Sumi. Elhisen, to imprison the gods? As a mortal, Azar shouldn't have such courage? Nilu, although I don't like the holy order, it is still too difficult for people to accept such things as imprisoning gods. Karen Kislana, Otto, what are you waiting for? After Jiang Feng said, why don't you go and kill that hateful great sage? Otto Apocalypse, alright Colin, I'll go right away. Azar, BD, idiot, you are provoking me, you fools. But no matter how angry Azar shouted, no one paid any attention to him, not even Sumi's people. They don't want to provoke this group of guys from the collapsed world just because of Azar. After all, who knows how many Herrschers the other party has? It has always been through the light curtain to understand their strength. If you look at it from reality, it is the most intuitive, right? Liu and Dao's wife, Zhongli, and Lei Ying were also not at peace. After living for such a long time, they have never met a guy who imprisoned a god, and they can't imagine that such a fool exists. As a result, they were slightly skeptical of what Jiang Feng said. Nazita, it is true that I was imprisoned by Azar, and I am very grateful to all of you who are willing to rescue me, but please try not to hurt the people of Sumeru. Naxita is very grateful to you all. Azar, shut up, I told you to shut up, do you hear me? You have such weak strength, what qualifications do you have to be the god of my Sumeru? Fu Hua, lawyer of knowledge. Lao Deng, I'm coming, old lady. Wash your neck and wait. Liu, Hei Yuan martial arts gym. Hei Fu stepped on the black Xian Yuan sword, turned into a black light and flew towards Sumi. She wants to use her fist to let this so-called sage know what truth is. Qing, is Miss Fu Hua the owner of the Black Yuan martial arts school? I just saw Miss Fu Hua fly out of Hei Yuan martial arts hall stepping on her sword, like a fairy. Fu Hua, Miss Keqing, I am the owner of the Chaiwan martial arts school. Zai Zai is the one who works for the Black Yuan martial arts academy. Qing, aren't you alone? Fu Hua, this is a long story. Fu Hua, the Herrscher of knowledge hat, I am Fu Hua, my mother, and I am also the trash Herrscher that Azar talks about. Lao Deng is ready to blow up gold coins. It didn't take long at all, and the Hei talisman flew into Sumi city with a murderous aura, like a demon god descending. Even Sumi's defensive strength couldn't react at all. In Sumi City, countless Sumi soldiers surrounded Otto, Karen, and others, but the latter did not panic at all. These ordinary people, not to mention Otto and Karen, even Teresa can beat these soldiers to the ground with just one finger. Not to mention, the talisman that fell into the center of Sumuru City in an instant, smashing the ground into a huge pit. With a healthy smile on his face, Haifu showed his white teeth to the soldiers around him. "Let me see where Hazard is." "Ha, I found it, in the house on the big tree." The Hei talisman just used his power at will, and found Azar's figure from the sea of consciousness of countless Sumuru people. Randomly, he lifted his sword and slashed towards the teaching academy, and the huge academy was instantly cut into two halves by the sword of Heifu, just like cutting tofu. Otto. Feeling a phantom pain on his cheek, Otto was a little speechless. Miss Herrscher of Knowledge is still as irritable as ever. Chapter 11. What? Barbarians from another world? Damned guy, what are you still doing? Catch this damned Herrscher! In the corner, Hazard watched the teaching academy turn into two halves in an instant, his eyes full of disbelief. Is this really something humans can do? It's not an exaggeration to be comparable to a demon god. What the hell is this Herrscher? Hearing Hazard's howl, Haifu cracked the corners of his mouth and showed a healthy smile. The guards around Azar, after hearing the command, were still terrified, but they all attacked the Hei talisman one after another. However, an ordinary soldier who thought the Herrscher of Knowledge would be very difficult to deal with stabbed with a spear, but found that the attack actually worked. It easily broke through the so-called Herrscher's defense line. Immediately, the Herrscher of Consciousness let out a heart-piercing wail. After many soldiers looked at each other, there was a hint of excitement in their expressions. It turns out that the Herrscher is so good, it just looks like a bluff. After the first attempt, many soldiers took up weapons and started beating the Herrscher of Knowledge. And the wail of the Herrscher of Knowledge, which was loud and clear at the beginning, gradually became silent. It's really hard to attack. It seems that Hazard, the old man, is really unpopular, and he is a killer. Beside the soldiers, Heifu, who was watching everything with great interest, said with a smile. It was also at this moment that the eyes of all the soldiers suddenly regained clarity. What kind of Herrscher of Consciousness was the one they killed? This is obviously their great sage Azar. At this moment, Azar's body was almost hacked into pieces, with blood holes all over his body, that is, he hadn't died yet due to inexplicable reasons. Today's Haifu is not a guy who doesn't even use power in the original book. Under Jiang Feng's teaching, Haifu has accepted his identity as the Herrscher of Knowledge. She is not only Fu Hua, but also the Herrscher of Knowledge. Although she still likes to use Fu Hua's martial arts most of the time, it doesn't mean she hates her own power, and she is not ambiguous when it is time to use it. Under the influence of the consciousness level of the Herrscher of Knowledge, everyone is like a marionette, torturing Azar over and over again according to the script of the Hei talisman. Judging by Jiang Feng's tone, he really hates this guy. She likes to do things that can win Jiang Feng's favor. Let's see if anyone will dare to call her a child liar in the future. Using Honkai to hang Azar's life, the Hei talisman lightly slapped a finger, and all the soldiers fell into a daze. Go to the Jingshan Palace and release the little grass god. Let me, the sage, meet this so-called Herrscher for a while. Heifu said with a smile. Hearing this, many soldiers nodded respectfully, of course, my lord. As the soldiers dispersed one after another, Azar, who had already been short of breath, stared at the girl called Herrscher with a horrified expression. Devil, she is simply a devil. How can there be such an existence? Directly manipulating the consciousness of others is even more outrageous than their void engine. After all, their void engine still has loopholes and needs to be guided, but the power of this Herrscher of Knowledge can perfectly control the consciousness of others without any loopholes. How could such power be allowed to exist? If she wants to kill someone, who can stop her? And all these things that happened in Sumeru were also passed on to every living being watching the light curtain through the power of the law of knowledge by the Hei Talisman. Similar to live streaming. She wants to let the existence of Chuan Tivat know whether their Herrschers are existences that can be manipulated at will. Don't run out of some monsters and goblins to dare to question and ridicule them. Hey, old Deng! How do you feel? Oh, for your own selfish desires, under the guise of the so-called weak and unqualified gods, you imprisoned your own gods, and in order to conceal the truth, slaughtered people who knew the truth. Oh? You even colluded with fools and prepared to create a god under your control. God. Watching the memory of the great sage over and over again, Hai Fu passed on the content of his memory to everyone who watched the light curtain. Hypocrisy, arrogance, and deceit are almost the same as the human beings described by the hollow Herrscher of the light curtain. Hai Fu didn't want to look at this dirty memory anymore, and after protecting the great sage's life with Honkai Neng, he raised his fist and punched it down expressionlessly. Bang bang bang! This punch is for the imprisoned little grass god. This punch is for the person you deceived. This punch is for the person you framed. This punch, and this punch. Bang bang bang! Soon, even though he was protected from death by Honkai Neng, the great sage Azar was still beaten by the high tail until his face was distorted and bloody. If it hadn't been known in advance, who knew that this rotten flesh with a distorted face would actually be a human being? Even Sano and other disciplinary officers who came later did not dare to make the slightest change at this moment. The so-called Herrscher's power is still too weird. He believed that if he dared to make a move, perhaps it would not be surprising that the attack he had hit appeared on him out of nowhere. Chapter 12. Phew, it's refreshing, it's been a long time since I played so well. Hai Fu rubbed his fist, looking refreshed, even with a smile on his face. Beside her, the people who had witnessed the violent behavior of the Hei Talisman did not dare to take a breath at the moment, for fear that the Hei Talisman would hit him if he was happy. If it's possible, can I ask Azar to be dealt with by our semi-discipline officer? Outside the faculty, Naxita, who had been liberated, also brought a group of people to the scene where Azar was beaten. Even though Azar has done many wrong things that are unforgivable, Naxita, who is naturally kind, still can't bear it. It's not that Naxita wants to let him go, but let Azar accept the trial he deserves and give him the punishment he deserves. Perhaps this is a more meaningful thing. Beside the Hei Talisman, Otto, who was holding the mimetic fire in his hand, came out slowly, and glanced curiously at the little grass god who looked like Teresa in Jiang Feng's mouth. He shook his head slightly. Your Excellency Naxita, although you are the god of Sumeru, as a guest, I should respect your choice. But a friend to whom I owe a great favor wants me to kill this guy. I really can't do it. Naxita naturally understood what Otto meant, and she also saw what Jiang Feng said in the video. Kill the great sage Azar. These are the exact words of Jiang Feng. It's just a friend, why doesn't Otto, a guy who looks very smart, have no resistance? Perhaps, this Mr. Otto also has an unknown relationship with Jiang Feng. As far as Naxita's thoughts are concerned, there is actually nothing wrong. After rescuing Colin, even because of the backward time, all the evil things he committed disappeared. Jiang Feng not only revived Colin, but also prevented him from becoming the disgusting villain in Colin's heart. As a result, in Otto's heart, the importance of Jiang Feng is only slightly lower than that of Karen. Therefore, if Jiang Feng needs his help, he will try his best to do it. For example, the matter of killing Hazard now. Nashida, Mr. Jiang Feng, can I let Azar go for now? I guarantee that after the trial, he will have no way out. Naxita, this is not just about the execution of Azar, it is more related to Azar needing to give an explanation to the people who have expired. On the light curtain, Naxita begged Jiang Feng very earnestly. After the latter thought for a moment, he decided not to care. Originally, it was just that she hated Azar in the game before the time travel, and what Nashida did was just because the people of Sumeru needed an explanation. In the end, Hazard still couldn't escape death. After all, Sano is not a good talker. Knowing that Azar imprisoned the gods, just this one crime is enough for Azar to feel good. Jiang Feng, forget it, I don't care anyway. Otto, you can do whatever you want, it's none of my business anyway. Otto Apocalypse, well, anyway, I only have to work hard to be called. Shrugging his shoulders, Otto even graciously used Void 10,000 Zhang to simulate the god's Kihei Beiwa to heal Azar's injury. After all, there is still a trial to be done. If there is no Honkai and he can hang his life, Hazard, who has suffered such a serious injury, will definitely die suddenly in the next moment. Seeing the ever-changing weapon in Otto's hands, Nazida's eyes showed a hint of shock. A weapon even has the effect of healing. There is really no simple person in this world that collapsed. Dare to ask, is this Mr. Otto also a Herrscher? Nazida resisted the shock, and asked aloud. She was still very curious about the power system of this collapsed world. Otto couldn't help but laugh, and said with a light smile, "Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not a Herrscher, after all, not all Herrschers are that powerful." "Okay, Your Excellency Nazida, I still have to go shopping with my family, so I won't disturb you for the time being." Bending like a gentleman, Otto walked towards Karen and Teresa who were watching the theater in the distance. This world is just as Jiang Feng said, it is indeed quite interesting. I just don't know, what would Siegfried and Cecilia think when they stayed in the collapsed world and wanted to spend their time together quietly? By the way, where did Bianca go back then? Compared to her two younger sisters, she is really a cultivator. Jiang Feng, the next time I see Bianca again, even you will probably be shocked. With a smile on his face, an interesting picture came to Otto's mind. Although he and Jiang Feng are very good friends, but he doesn't mind seeing this guy make a fool of himself. In case Karen keeps comparing Jiang Feng with him, it will hurt my brain. Someone else's husband is really an annoying way to compare. Perhaps, you can also consider the relationship between Teresa and Jiang Feng. They are both in their 60s and 70s. If you don't get married, you will become an old Lolita. Anyway, you can accept it under the moon. It shouldn't matter if there is another Teresa. Of course, Otto wouldn't say it, so perhaps Jiang Feng would have to call him Grandpa instead. Chapter 13. Ah, it's so boring. Now that the matter is settled, I'll go back too. He Fu stretched his waist and threw the black Xianyuan sword into the sky casually. After stepping on it, it turned into a beam of black light and flew into the sky. Let's go and play with old Antique, and watch my disciple kill her disciple randomly. All that was left was Sumi's bewildered crowd, and the Academy of Order that had been split in half by a sword. Nashida took a deep breath. Now is not the time to shock others how powerful she is, the grass god of Sumeru. Now there is still a pile of mess waiting for her to clean up. Officer Sano De Feng, please hurry up and collect the criminal evidence of the Holy Order as soon as possible, and don't let anyone involved in the case be spared. After Nazida released the power of the grass god a little bit and convinced everyone of her identity, Nazida, the grass god who was in power for the first time, also issued her first order in her life. What the Order Academy has done has touched her bottom line, and she must be severely punished to convince the public. Otherwise, Sumi will definitely become a joke in the entire Tivat continent. Although she has already become a joke, she must not let the people look down like her. Sino nodded solemnly and half knelt on the ground. Under the order, the disciplinary officer is dispatched to immediately thoroughly investigate the evidence of the great sage Azar and his henchmen. After Sumi's disciplinary officials began to operate quickly, He Fu had also returned to the Black Kite Martial Arts Hall he opened in Liu. In the martial arts hall, thanks to He Fu's move, which is no different from Chuan Tiwat's live broadcast, her strength is naturally revealed. It attracted applause from all the students, and even more so, the number of people who signed up for the Black Yuan martial arts school and wanted to learn martial arts increased exponentially. Fu hua, law of knowledge, ha 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 ha. Old antique, did you see, everyone wants to learn martial arts from my Black Yuan martial arts gym, but your Qi Yuan martial arts gym is still so deserted, ha 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 ha. Fu hua, zai, don't be too childish. When selecting disciples, you should test their temperament and talent, and they should not be over-acquired. Fu hua, the Herrscher of knowledge, do you mean like you? Do you think I'm as stupid as you and accept anyone? Fu hua. Li Sushang, the two masters are arguing again. Is Etchen Glixu there? How about we go and play with Jiang Feng? Cheng Lixu, is it going to be bad? Li Sushang, oh, it's okay, what are you afraid of? Your master is angry, isn't there Jiang Feng who will take care of it? Cheng Lixu, oh, that's fine. The entire light curtain, when there is no video, almost becomes a forum for everyone to chat. There is even a private chat function. Just when Fu Hua and He Fu were arguing on the public screen, Li Sushang and Cheng Lixu, as the darlings of the two, had already sneaked towards the tea house where Jiang Feng was. In the tea room, Jiang Feng was discussing some serious philosophical issues with Rita at this moment, and the number 0 in his mind reminded appropriately, Master, I suggest that you and Miss Rita end the discussion as soon as possible, there are 2 rookies coming over gone. After all, some rookies may not necessarily understand these profound knowledge. Hearing the warning from number 0 in his mind, Jiang Feng quickly reacted and reminded Rita, Little Chaiwan and Xia Heiwan are here. Hearing this, Rita paused, and stood up slowly after a while. Hey, these 2 guys, it's really not the right time to come, I think the captain just roasted and ate this guy. Jiang Feng rolled his eyes, Rita doesn't have a straight mouth. Okay, go and tidy up, don't show your feet. Rita nodded, and then left the tea room. Jiang Feng was bored and picked up the teapot and poured himself a cup of tea, sipping it quietly, waiting for the arrival of Xiao Litzi and Lixu. Number 0, how many sources have you absorbed now, and how much time is left before the final evolution? In the spirit of not wasting any time, Jiang Feng began to inquire about the progress of his head butler. Well, I'm not sure, but at least the method of absorbing the source of overflow is feasible, but the amount is too small, and the evolutionary speed is negligible. Hearing this, Jiang Feng nodded. Talk is better than nothing. Based on the idea that ants' legs are also meat, 0 didn't care too much, anyway, she still has a lot of time with Jiang Feng, she can afford to wait. She evolves slowly, and there will always be someone who is more anxious than her. Boom boom boom. Hey, guess who I am? Jiang Feng rolled his eyes. Well, let me think about it. Little Blackie. Wrong. Little Black Kite. Wrong. Little Plum. Ah. Jiang Feng, you bully me, this girl is not young at all, okay, you do this every time. Xiao Litzi slapped the door of the tea room flying, causing Jiang Feng to frown, and then rushed towards Jiang Feng with all his teeth and claws. Look at my Black Kite faction's unique skills, the crow flies on the plane. Suddenly, she sat in Jiang Feng's arms, almost making him stand up directly. Little Heezy, take it easy. I'll go. Lixu, pull this fat black kite away for me. Wow! You are fat, your whole family is fat, Jiang Feng, you are too deceitful. Chapter 14. After a moment of squabbling, Rita returned to the room with some refreshments. Looking at lava cakes, cream ice cream, taro cakes and other delicacies, little Li's eyes lit up. Still the best dim sum. By the way, Jiang Feng, where is the game console? Take it out quickly, let's drink tea and eat snacks, and play games by the way. Xiao Litzi said to Jiang Feng enthusiastically, the latter sighed lightly, this little Litzi is good at everything, she is just a girl with serious internet addiction. Still the kind of guy who is good at cooking and loves to play. Jiang Feng has nothing to do with Xiao Litzi, who is so jumpy, and his personality is basically not too far from Qiana. They all look carefree, innocent and romantic. By the way, if you run out like this, Fu Hua and Xiao Shi will not punish you if they find out. Jiang Feng saw the girl sitting and drinking tea quietly not far away, and said meaningfully. Compared with Li Sushang, Cheng Lixu was much quieter and more reliable, with Fu Hua's basically easygoing personality. Maybe it's because of their personality, Li Sushang followed Xiao Shi, Cheng Lixu followed Fu Hua. I just don't know how the two of them got to play together with such a big difference in personality and their masters quarreling every day. Lixu has already finished the homework that the master ordered, maybe the master will not be too angry. Cheng Lixu glanced at Jiang Feng's eyes, then quickly lowered her head and explained something uncertain. Ha! What are you afraid of? The two of them are going to quarrel with theirs, and we will play with ours. Besides, with Jiang Feng here, the two of them can still overthrow the tea house. Xiao Litzi said indifferently. Jiang Feng glanced at the wooden door that was blown away by Xiao Litzi, and silently mourned for it. Only Xiao Litzi dared to take pictures of his own door, but Fu Hua and Xiao Shi didn't dare. Jiang Feng thought about it for a while, and looked at Fu Hua and Xiao Shi on the screen who were still arguing fiercely, thinking that he might as well let go of their dark history. Number 0, the new video is released to Dutchin, let Fu Hua and Xiaoshi break through the shock. Jiang Feng laughed from the bottom of his heart, let the two of you quarrel, I will have fun with you later. Not bad, yes, just cross the dust. Honkai name scene. TAP8, Dutchin, true and false Fu Hua, Lixu can only accompany you here. Fu Hua. Fu Hua, law of knowledge. Fu Hua, the Herrscher of knowledge. What the hell title is this? I feel offended. Fu Hua, could it be, this video is related to me and Lixu? Li Sushang, hey, why is there no me? Seeing the headline that clearly wanted to make trouble, everyone in Tivat, who were still busy with their own affairs, suddenly cheered up. Alaya, interesting and interesting. Let me just say, the two Miss Fu Hua not only have different personalities, but also have very different outfits. One of them is obviously a fake, and they still use the same name. Fu Hua, law of consciousness kid, do you want to die? In the Heiyuan martial arts gym, Hei Fu clenched her fists tightly. What she hates the most is that others deny her existence. Even Jiang Feng admitted that she is also Fu Hua. This damn native dared to say that she was a fake. With a fierce punch, the Hei talisman hit a stone pillar in the Heiyuan martial arts hall, and the stone pillar immediately turned into pieces. Alaya, ha, a strong man like you, I just want to compete with you. Hei Fu squeezed his fist, but in the end he had to let out a sigh of relief. No matter how others deny it, she is still Fu Hua. Fu Hua, law of knowledge. All right, kid, wait, sooner or later I'll beat you until your own mother won't recognize you. After thinking about it bitterly, Hei Fu still decided to watch the video first. If she finds that there is something wrong with this video, she will definitely catch the producer of this video and beat her up. Because of the weird ability shown by the Hei talisman when he teased the Sumeru soldiers before, most people still don't want to face the Hei talisman before they find a way to deal with it. Therefore, except for the iron-headed Alaya, basically no one intends to touch the brow of the high symbol. In a misty space, where a giant sword as tall as a mountain stands, Fu Hua, dressed in black and holding a spear, stared at a pair of blood-colored pupils full of anger, and attacked Qiana frantically. My help is limited now, I must seize the opportunity. Qiana. In Qiana's mind, Fu Hua's voice came. The Herrscher of Consciousness's spears and strokes were finally resisted by a red feather, and even hit by Qiana with the power of the law of Qing. Let's stop here. Qiana wanted to persuade the Herrscher of knowledge to stop. However, how could the Herrscher of Consciousness, who has already gone mad, listen to Qiana's words. Damn it, how is it possible, how is it possible to fight like this? Can't you two just listen to me? Qiana's disapproval made the Herrscher of Knowledge's heart gradually collapse. Suddenly, Qiana, who sensed the danger, turned into the Herrscher of the Sky, and fled quickly into the distance. The Herrscher of Knowledge is also ready to start getting serious. Chapter 15. Damn, 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 fool, idiot. In the air, the Herrscher of Knowledge chased and threw a golden long sword towards Qiana. Facing the already furious Herrscher of Consciousness, even Qiana, who has also been disciplined, can only dodge Kong. Using the authority of the law of space, the attack can be transferred. Why are you blocking my way? Why are you helping that trash? The Herrscher of Knowledge condensed a god's ki with his bare hands, and the black Ruo Shui flew towards Qiana fiercely. Even a dozen Yakang spears can't stop Ruo Shui's progress. Until, after Qiana narrowly escaped Ruo Shui's attack, the perseverant Herrscher of Consciousness flew high into the sky. She wants to condense Fu Hua's strongest blow to prove that she is also Fu Hua, and she wants to defeat Qiana to prove that she is right. You are clearly, all losers. The Herrscher of Knowledge shouted angrily. A huge black phoenix emerged in the sky, countless sharp blades were pulled up by its power, and the world collapsed. This is the monitors. With a pair of pure blue eyes, Qiana watched all this in disbelief. This is Fu Hua's unique martial arts technique, the verve in Taixu's sword energy, Taixu's sword god. Just when Qiana was in a daze and didn't know how to deal with it, Fu Hua's voice rang in her ears. Qiana, control your power, remember what I taught you. Fu Hua calmly guided Qiana. She needed Qiana to use the same power as Herrscher of Knowledge. Use Yakang's spear instead of a sharp sword, release the Taixu sword energy, gather the charm to strike it. God, the ultimate change, the word is wonderful, the one who cannot be challenged physically. With the condensation of Qiana's golden sword energy, Taixu sword god began to take shape slowly, and the huge golden sword faced the sky. At this moment, facing Qiana in such a state, the Herrscher of Knowledge's mentality finally completely collapsed. Qiana actually learned Taixu sword god. Taixu sword chi, Shen Yun. Fiercely, Qiana's giant sword took the initiative to attack the Herrscher of Consciousness in the air. How could I lose to this guy? The completely collapsed Herrscher of Knowledge, controlling the Black Phoenix, collided directly with Qiana's giant sword. How can the Herrscher of Consciousness, whose mentality has already collapsed, maintain the power of Taixu sword god? In the process of sword chi confronting waves, it is impossible to resist even for a moment. Qiana raised her head high, her expression full of determination. Squad leader is never a loser. Finally, the Herrscher of Consciousness was defeated, and the Herrscher of Consciousness with a broken mentality was sealed in Yuduchan. In the bright space, Fu Hua, who was dressed in red, white, and red kite, turned his back to Qiana. Thank you, Qiana, Herrscher, just leave it to me. The illusion is about to be lifted, so go back. This time it's probably a farewell. Fu Hua spoke the cruel reality in a calm tone. Now, maybe he can only die with the Lawrence. Wait a minute, monitor, there may be other ways. Qiana hurriedly said, not wanting Fu Hua to leave her. Fu Hua was silent for a moment, and said noncommittally, maybe. Even Fu Hua was not sure if it was possible. The illusion began to collapse, and a feather representing Fu Hua slowly fell into Qiana's hands. This is Fu Hua's god, Yuduchan. It's like this again. Qiana's tone was very heavy. Look began to firm up. Sacrifice in exchange for the so-called victory, I can't accept it. Positioned with Yuduchan as the coordinate, Qiana began to use the power of the Herrscher of the Sky, and if she didn't find Fu Hua, she would definitely leave. Give me back the squad leader. Opening the space of consciousness, Qiana walked forward through the thick fog. Memories representing Fu Hua's past keep reappearing in Qi Yun's mind. I was shot dead by Otto, who thought he was a friend, immortal Chaiwan, I am not lying. I have experienced too many betrayals and deceptions. Fu Hua wanted to use this to persuade Qi Yun to leave and stop looking for her. Qiana squeezed her fist and said confidently, Squad leader, I will never lie to you. In the vast snow field, Cheng Lixu was impaled on the ground by the spear of Yakeng. Fu Hua slowly stretched out his hand. Cheng Lixu said in a weak voice, Lixu, I can only accompany you here. Those who trust me will be harmed by me. Fu Hua calmly persuaded again. Qiana clenched her fist tightly and said firmly, I'm strong, you don't have to worry about hurting me. The space is shattered, and Fu Hua's memory floods in again. No matter how hard I try, I can't stop the passage of time, and in the end I'm still alone. Qiana clenched her fist and slammed into the space in front of her. The authority of the Herrscher of the Sky was running wildly. I won't let you, alone. Under one punch, the space was shattered. Accompanied by the melodious background music, Qi Yun finally found Fu Hua's figure in this chaotic sea of memories. Even Fu Hua couldn't believe that Qi Yun actually found her. Qiana, why are you here? Fu Hua's expression was full of incredulity. He wanted to grab the hand that Qi Yun extended, but in the end he withdrew again because he was afraid of losing it. However, Qi Yun didn't intend to let Fu Hua leave at all, and quickly grabbed Fu Hua's retracted hand. Fu Hua said a little anxiously, if the seal is destroyed, it will be too much. Qiana said firmly, troubleshooting. Then beat her up again. If you want to escape from me, there is no way. Finally, the space broke open, and Fu Hua was brought back by Qi Yun. This is one of the few happy endings. Chapter 16. Dadalia, unbelievable, strong, really too strong. Simply the pinnacle. Dadalia, is this Miss Fu Hua's martial arts attainment? Such a strong man is really exciting. In Zhaidong's country, the young master who was already planning to leave for Lihua became even more excited after learning about Fu Hua's strength. As a guy who likes to fight with the strong, a master like Fu Hua will only make him more excited. Dao's wife, in Wei Pavilion, even Qi Yun has tears shining. Qiana Kislana, so, was the squad leader's past like this? It's so pitiful, hateful Otto, disgusting Xiaoshi. Otto apocalypse. Fu Hua, who knows the law? Hey, Qi Yun, don't go too far. In the video I was PD for no reason and didn't say anything. Fu Hua, the lore of knowledge, is there no one to take pity on me? It was sealed for no reason. Why, as a Herrscher, I ate your rice, or I killed your whole family, so against me. On the spot, seeing Qi Yun complaining about herself, the haifu directly broke the defense. Grandma, it looks like she is the only one being bullied in the whole video. Too much. Zhongli, in terms of universal rationality, what happens in the parallel world cannot be brought into the own world. Zhongli, however, Miss Fu Hua's martial arts are indeed astonishing, and the Qi Yuan immortal that Mr. Otto called also deserves this name. Hu Tao, oh, moving is moving, but the natural way of reincarnation of life and death, so why be too sad? Quzhou Shailuo, although this kind of martial arts is already very powerful, I think this mortal skill is still not as good as the general, but it is also extraordinary and very rare. Arataki Ichito, ha! Zhu Xiao Tengu, are you going to laugh at me to death? I admit that the general is very powerful, but no matter how you look at it, the martial arts of Taixu Sword Qi are even stronger, right? 9 Tiao Shailuo, humph. Fighting Iraqi, disrespecting the general, do you want to go to prison for a few more days? Lei Movie, alright, stop arguing, I hereby acknowledge Fu Hua's strength, Immortal Chaiwan, this title deserves it. Ye Maiko, ouch, so we have never seen the rural girls who have never seen the world, will they admit to others? I thought someone who was pursuing eternity in Yuxin Pure Land was being silly. Lei Movie, Son of God, UBD. No matter how noisy it is on the light curtain, it is in Jiang Feng's tea room at this moment. Xiao Litzi cried sadly while hugging Cheng Lixiu. Woohoo! Lixiu, you died so badly. Why is that Raksha guy so crazy? He even shot at Master Fu Hua. Cheng Lixiu. Being strangled by little Litzi and almost breathless, Cheng Lixiu really wanted to say that the scenes in the video didn't happen, so don't worry about it at all. After all, everyone knows that this is probably a parallel world without Jiang Feng, and basically has nothing to do with them. Although, teacher Fu Hua's past in the picture also made her feel extremely sad. Women are emotional creatures, even Rita was wiping tears from the corners of her eyes. Jiang Feng was also moved by it. Fortunately, Jiang Feng never let Fu Hua experience these scenes in the video again. He and Otto are probably the only ones who still remember the past. Mond, among the Zephyr Knights. After watching this video, Qin also made the decision to attack the Wind Demon Dragon. It is determined not to let the Feng Malong make trouble again, otherwise Mond will inevitably suffer heavy losses, and maybe even fools will take advantage of it. After watching the scene on the video, Qin and the others also had a consensus in their hearts. That is, among the group of people who came from the collapsed world, none of them were simple. Therefore, all eyes in the arena turned to Wendy, who was sitting quietly on the chair. May I take the liberty to ask, Sir Wendy, is she the Herrscher? Facing Qin's question, Wendy remained silent. Originally because of Barbara, Wendy didn't want to reveal too much. If Barbara is separated from her because she is too powerful, it will not be worth the loss for her. She cherishes her friends very much. But, she didn't want to cheat Barbara either. If no one asked, the matter would have passed like this, but since someone asked, Wendy could only answer frankly. Yes, Captain Qin. I am the fourth Herrscher, the Herrscher of Wind. I have the power to manipulate ideal fluids. Well, in short, it's not too different from manipulating wind elements. Well, at least formally it looks about the same. After all, through power, she can indeed manipulate the wind element. Qin's eyes lit up immediately after hearing that Wendy was the Herrscher of the Wind. Through the understanding of the video on the light curtain, she knew clearly that Herrscher is not an ordinary guy. Even the Herrscher with knowledge has good strength without the power of Herrscher. Then what kind of scene would it be to use the power of the Lawrence? What's more, Wendy is Barbara's friend. If she is willing to help defeat the Wind Demon Dragon, then basically nothing will happen to them. Even if fools come out to make trouble, it may not be meaningful. Chapter 17. Wind Herrscher, that is really suitable for Armand, who is wind and wine. Spreading one hand, Kaya said to Wendy with a smile, but with this appearance, she didn't know what kind of plan she was planning in her heart. Then, let's go directly to the ruins of the Wind Dragon and solve the problem of the Wind Dragon directly. I think Miss Wendy should be fine, right? Wendy nodded indifferently. In fact, Feng Malong seemed to her to be playing tricks. The Wind Demon Dragon, which can only cause violent whines, is just a guy who can be overcome by her in front of her, who can manipulate ideal fluids. As long as she wants to move her finger, the Wind Dragon will lose the control of the wind element. Qin frowned, and said with some displeasure, Kaya, did you forget something? Now the Feng Malong is powerful. If we don't cut off the power source of the Feng Malong in the temple, it is impossible for us to defeat the Feng Malong. However, Wendy only felt the location of the so-called temples. She was still in the nights under her will, and the power supply in the 4 temples was cut off by her. If she wanted to, she didn't even need to go out of the night order. The Wind Dragon would be torn to pieces by the strong wind inside the waist of the Wind Dragon. But once she thought that destroying the power supply of the Wind Demon Dragon would be outrageous enough, so that the little hearts of the West Wind Knights would not be frightened by her, Wendy stopped thinking about it. Hey! The power supply of the Wind Demon Dragon has been cut off by me. Although I am just an ordinary Herrscher, as a Herrscher of Wind, my attainments in the element of wind are not so-so. Wendy narrowed her eyes, and spoke modestly about the four ruins. Lisa sensed the situation, and her expression became surprised. The ground veins have completely returned to normal, and the four ruins have actually been resolved. They just talked about the ruins, and it was only in the blink of an eye, without seeing any changes at all. The girl in front of her, who looked not much older than Barbara, managed it with ease. Ying Mei was also extremely shocked at the moment. This is the power of the Herrscher, and it feels weirder and more powerful than the seven gods of Tivat. As for the mastery of the authority of the wind, maybe even Barbatos, who is the wind god, can't do it. Wendy, who was hiding in the dark, looked extremely complicated. Just as Ying Mei thought, the problem of Feng Malong's power supply can be solved without leaving the West Wind Knights, which is something that even he, the real Feng Shen, can't do. It's as if Wendy, the so-called Herrscher of Wind, is more suitable for being a wind god than he is in terms of controlling the wind element. As Mr. Kaya said, let's go directly to the ruins of the Wind Dragon and solve the problem of the Wind Dragon as soon as possible, so that Mond can return to normal as soon as possible. Until Wendy said this, Qing opened her mouth and wanted to say that it was too dangerous, but she thought that the strength of Feng Malong had been weakened, and Wendy's strength was comparable to that of Feng Shen. What else do they need to be afraid of against a former guardian of the Four Winds? Just when Qing was about to agree, a gust of wind condensed from the tightly closed room, transformed into the appearance of a young man dressed in emerald green. Hello everyone, can you bring me one? I am Wendy, the best bard in Mond, and at the same time, I am also the wind god Barbatos in your mouth. Wendy scratched his head. It wasn't that he wanted to reveal his identity as Feng Shen, but after seeing Wendy's power, he was afraid that he wouldn't come out again. If his Tuerin was accidentally beaten to death by Wendy, he would ask someone to justify it. Maybe Wendy slapped him to death while reasoning, then he would have no place to cry. Ah, you are Lord Wind God Barbatos. Covering her mouth, Barbara looked at Wendy in disbelief. This Mond, who knows no one, is a drunkard who spends his whole day drinking besides playing music to make money. She has never done anything serious, and was even taught by the nuns of the church as a negative example. As a result, such a role as a negative textbook, you tell me now that you are Feng Shen? But after feeling the power of the strong wind element and the familiar divinity that Wendy exuded, even if it was hard to accept, Barbara had to believe that this guy was the wind god she believed in. For a moment, Barbara only felt that her faith had collapsed. Ahem, girl, please don't be so excited. Well, as the wind god, I'm sorry, because of some accidents, I only woke up recently, and my strength is not very sufficient. This is also related to Tuolin. I can call Tuolin out, and then you can directly deal with the poisonous blood on his body. So, we don't need to go to the ruins of Fenglong for now, what do you think? Although it is unbelievable, his own Feng Shen will suddenly appear in front of him. But after repeated confirmations, everyone in the Knights couldn't help but believe that Wendy, the unreliable alcoholic, was indeed their Feng Shen. Moreover, because of their status, everyone in the Knights also accepted Wendy's plan, and even Wendy had no objections. After all, the Feng Malong was the guardian of the Four Winds in the past. It would not be easy to explain if the Feng Malong was wiped out in the ruins of the Feng Long. Chapter 18 Mond, Star-Picking Cliff. After Wendy obtained a teardrop of the Wind Dragon from Ying Mei, she fused part of her own wind element, so that her Zither of the Sky had the power to call Tuerin. The most important thing is that it is too troublesome to find teardrops. If you change it, the elemental power of Wendy is also similar. The melodious sound of the piano sounded and passed to the distance, as if possessing magical power, it aroused the memory of the dragon. Call. As the strong wind blew, a huge figure suddenly jumped up from the bottom of the star-picking cliff. The one who came was the former guardian of the Four Winds, Tuerin, and now, the wind demon dragon. Barbados, at this point, there is nothing to talk about. With strong resentment, like an abandoned little daughter-in-law, Feng Malong stared at Wendy complaining. The latter shook his head, and looked at him sincerely. Really? But why? I see nostalgia in your eyes. Come back, Turin. Seeing this, Feng Malong was a little moved, and it was not an irresolvable hatred. Although it is somewhat due to the erosion of will, but more of it is just the complaint that he sacrificed because of Mond but was finally forgotten by Mond. If Barbados is willing to sincerely apologize, it is not impossible for him. Boom! An ice cone slashed across, knocking down the Qing of the sky in Wendy's hand, and an abyss mage suddenly appeared beside Feng Malong. Poor dragon, don't be deceived by them, you have made an enemy of Mond and can't turn back. With the appearance of the abyss mage, everyone in the knights suddenly became nervous. After all, the appearance of this thing is not a good thing. Watching the action of the knights and others drawing out their swords, the abyss mage laughed recklessly. Look, he's still leading the knights now, and he's coming to hunt you down. Hearing this, Feng Malong, who was already in pain and confused in his mind, believed it, and roared angrily at Wendy. Barbados, now, are you here to hunt me? No, Turin. Originally, Wendy wanted to be sensational, but Wendy, who watched the play for a long time, couldn't bear it anymore. It's really embarrassing. Leaving aside the Feng Malong, who is just an abyss mage, actually wants to ride on their heads and shit. What does this take her for? Ha 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 ha, this dragon is going to serve its new master, so you can lament your own powerlessness here. The abyss mage was riding on the wind dragon's head and was about to leave, but a sense of oppression locked him directly. Whether it is the wind demon dragon or the abyss mage, they all seem to be frozen in the air, unable to move. What's going on, dragon? Move quickly, move. At the same time, the abyss mage kept chanting curses, trying to deepen his control over the wind dragon. But anyway, it doesn't make any sense at all. My body seems to be imprisoned by something, and the wind element that I can drive is like a chain. It's Barbados. Feng Malong roared angrily, but saw Wendy's dazed and confused face. Ah! Wendy touched the back of her head, glanced at Wendy who was leisurely playing with her hair, and immediately understood what was going on. Sorry, I really don't want to continue this boring farce, so, let's end it. Wendy's eyes flashed a green light for a moment, and the abyss mage who was still riding on top of the wind dragon seemed to disappear in the blink of an eye like a gust of wind. At the same time, the poisonous blood clot on Feng Malong's back also dissipated. At that moment, Wendy first used the flowing space to limit the activity space of the abyss mage and the wind demon dragon, and then used the power to make the space grind through the two of them like a liquid. It also created the effect that the poisonous blood clots of the abyss mage and the wind dragon dissipated like a breeze. Although she is called the Herrscher of the Wind, her authority has never been the wind, but the ideal fluid, whether it is wind, water, or space, as long as it is a fluid existence, it can be controlled by it. It's just that the final manifestation is like a breeze. As for Wendy's operation, no one present except Wendy saw the problem. They all believed that Wendy used the extremely powerful power of the wind attribute to kill the abyss mage and redeem the wind dragon. Even, it was not as shocking as before, only feeling numb for a while. Wendy looked at the Feng Malong who was thrown to the ground by Wendy and dared not move, and swallowed uncontrollably. This is definitely not the power of the wind element, whose wind element did it like this. However, thinking of Wendy's terrifying strength, and the fact that the existence of Herrscher is unclear, he didn't dare to tell the truth. Glancing at Turin who was terrified, Wendy sighed helplessly in her heart. No matter. I hope this Miss Wendy is a really good person. He can only pray like this, otherwise even if he is a god, there is nothing he can do. The last time I was so powerless, then I was still facing the law of heaven. The Herrschers really are a group of monsters more terrifying than demon gods. Chapter 19. Boom boom boom. Come in. Mond, in Wendy's room, the girl was holding a book of Tivat in her hand, flipping through it casually, and said without raising her head. Then, a green figure walked into the room. Miss Wendy, I have something to discuss with you. Wendy's tone was tinged with seriousness. After all, now that Mond has a variable like Wendy, he has to talk about things in advance. Otherwise it will affect his plan. Does Lord Barbados have any advice? Even though he said so, Wendy still didn't even look at Wendy. The Fengshen, whose name sounds the same as hers, is not too strong, and the two of them are not very familiar with each other. Naturally, there will be no enthusiasm. Cough, Mun's fools, I hope your excellency Wendy will not interfere for the time being. I made a deal with the Queen of the Winter Kingdom. Rosalind will take my god's heart. This is also my debt to that child. Please don't stop her. Yes, with Wendy here, Wendy really can't imagine how the lady can take the heart of God from him. Just Wendy was able to destroy the energy in the Four Ruins when he was in the Knights. He had reason to believe that if Rosalind dared to take out his god's heart, in the next moment, Rosalind might be about to drift away with the wind. After all, if there was a real fight, Rosalind couldn't even beat him, so how could she be Wendy's opponent? He is the wind god of Mond, and Wendy is Mond's guest, and the host's family is killed. He has reason to believe that Wendy will do it when Rosalind does it. Therefore, we can only greet Wendy in advance. In case Rosalind was killed by Wendy before making amends to Rosalind. In this, apart from his guilt towards Rosalind himself, there is also the existence of a deal with the ice god, which cannot be sloppy. Hearing this, Wendy's hand flipping through the book paused, and then said calmly, "Okay, the gods are really a bunch of strange guys." Wendy. After receiving Wendy's promise, in order to avoid having long nights and dreams, Wendy directly began to perform, almost revealing her identity as Feng Shen in a semi-public setting. Basically, except for the ordinary citizens of Mond, almost everyone with a little bit of means knows Wendy's identity. Moreover, under the condition that she always walks at night deliberately, Wendy was caught by Rosalind crossing from left to right and gave her a fierce output. In fact, Rosalind seemed to have seen Wendy's plan, beating Wendy's C for almost an hour, and then walked away with the heart of Feng Shen. During this period, it didn't even attract the attention of the knights. Even a certain Mr. Just is watching coldly in his tavern. Otherwise, Rosalind would not be so bold. This woman Rosalind is too ruthless. Wendy covered her swollen face, which had become a pig's head, and her tone was full of sadness. Fortunately, he felt much better after being beaten up by Rosalind. All enmity with Rosalind was also wiped out. Your Excellency Wendy, do you need some medicine? In the shadows, Barbara came out with a bottle of wound medicine and said embarrassingly. After all, it was a little strange to see the gods I believed in being beaten up. Wendy glanced at Barbara, who was hugging her chest, and felt the more or less aura emanating from the surroundings. This time it was a big shame. Forget it, this wound medicine is useless to me. My main body is just a wind elf, it will automatically absorb the wind element in the air and restore it, don't worry about me. Wendy condensed the power of the wind element and wiped it on her face, and her bruised nose and swollen face instantly returned to normal. This kind of injury did not consume much, it just lost the heart of God, and it would take a few more days to fully recover the strength. Although, he didn't need the god's heart at all, it was dispensable to him. If you pamper her like this, I'm afraid you will suffer a lot in a short time. Wendy said meaningfully. As for the transaction between the gods, she more or less guessed something. But simply letting Rosalind take away the god's eye like this will inevitably make her think that God is nothing more than that. When encountering a god with a bad temper, he may be severely punished. Although, in Wendy's view, gods are nothing more than that. But this is not something a mortal like Rosalind can handle. Wendy shook her head, looking at where Rosalind left with a complicated expression. From today onwards, there will never be Rosalind in this world, only the ladies of fools are left. Don't worry, that kid isn't that stupid, otherwise he wouldn't have beaten me for so long. Now that Rosalind knew that he was acting, naturally Rosalind would not be so arrogant when facing other gods who would not perform tricks on her. It's also because Wendy's acting was so obvious that she couldn't be more obvious this time, avoiding the situation where a certain egomaniac died in Deazuma. Because Rosalind knew that no one would take care of the emotions of a former citizen of Mond like Wendy. Chapter 20. Returning to the carriage of Solstice Winter, Rosalind, the lady who is the executive officer of the Fools, is holding Wendy's god's heart, as if in a daze. She recalled, when she was at Mond, she recalled the days when she was still called Rosalind. Rustin, has it been so long? That guy Barbados has also appeared. That ridiculous guy actually thought that he would be forgiven if he let me beat him. Forget it. I have already got the heart of God, Mond is meaningless anymore, let this rotten country, accompanied by their gods, rot alone. Gently rubbing the green heart of God in her hand, Rosalind muttered to herself. The lady and the others travelled very fast, and in just a few days, they returned to the country of Zhaidong. In the palace, the lady handed over the obtained god's heart. She was honored by the queen. Rosalind, you're doing great. Although, you were supposed to rest for a while, but the executive officer in charge of Liu is Dadalia, so. The lady raised her head, looked at the queen firmly and said, understood, I will go to Liu secretly. Ladies are just arrogant, not stupid. Young master, a guy who only knows how to fight, and his brain is full of muscles, is a very good fighting force, but it is obviously not very suitable to perform this kind of task that requires tricks. Not to mention, the young master offended the so-called lore of knowledge on the light curtain. If the Herrscher of knowledge is determined to disrupt their task of collecting God's heart, they will be very troublesome. This time to Liu, the main task is to obtain the heart of God, and the second is to make friends with the group of guys from the so-called collapsed world. After all, their interests do not conflict, and the other party has the power of a god like the Herrscher. If they can form an ally, it will be a great help when they face God's law. Of course, they didn't think about the possibility that the Herrscher is stronger than the law of heaven. After all, according to their cognition, Tianli is incomparable and the most powerful existence. Even the so-called Herrscher, who has shown so many strange powers, will definitely not be the opponent of Tianli. Although, the natural principles they cared about so much, in the eyes of Jiang Feng and others, it was just that. Judging from the fact that so many Herrschers are using the Honkai energy recklessly, if Tianli can beat Jiang Feng and others, he probably would have jumped a long time ago. Perhaps, on Sky Island, after Tianli found out that Jiang Feng and others had entered Tivat, they were completely ruined. After all, as an outsider, unlike the 7 gods of Tivat, she knows the horror of collapse. Since Honkai didn't show any hostility, then what should she do? The Herrschers have all entered Tivat, and if something goes wrong, Tivat has already been sent. Since they can't resist, the law of heaven can only choose to ignore it from the heart. Honkai name scene. TAP 7, Elegy for Sinners, you are more important than this world. Suddenly, the footage of the famous scene in Skyfall was updated again. As the doctor who paid the most attention to the existence of Herrscher, he gently adjusted his glasses with his hand. Is there a new Herrscher or technology coming out? Honkai, it really makes people feel obsessed. Squinting his eyes, the doctor felt an extreme desire for Honkai in his heart. In the first 3 videos, the doctor more or less learned some information about the collapsed world. After the doctor's careful deduction, he came to a conclusion. Honkai energy is an extremely efficient and practical energy source. Judging from the different performances of those Herrschers, the Honkai energy can be applied to almost any field. In his opinion, although the Honkai Nang may have spawned some monsters, its main role must be more positive. Honkai is an infinite energy that can exist in any meaning. The core of the Herrscher, I must get one, preferably the core of the Herrscher of reason. In the dark laboratory, a gleam flashed in the doctor's eyes. Walnut, number 1, number 1. I am the first. If you are interested, remember to pay attention to my Liu Xiang Sheng Hall. From birth to burial, I provide one-stop service. The most important thing is that the second monument is half price. Kamalai Ayato, er. Miss Hudao's Gasaido sells milk tea, what a weird name. Zhongli, sorry, we are in the funeral business. Kamiseya Ayato. Inside the Kamisuri house, the expression of Ayato Kamisato, who was drinking milk tea, changed, and he almost spit out the milk tea. When Hu Tao uttered the advertisement, he still wanted to try the milk tea made by Xiang Shengtang. He just said that the name of this milk tea shop is weird, and he thought it was a special feature of Liu, but after a long time, it turned out to be a place where dead people do business. Daughtery, the new video, I don't know what Herrscher will appear, or is it technology? Ying, what the hell are the fools up to? Trouble with the Herrscher, be careful that you little fools are killed by the Herrscher. The doctor's expression flickered for a moment. Although he really wanted to get a Herrscher core for research, the Queen also informed him that he could not conflict with the people of the collapsed world. There is only another way to see if there is a chance to get a Herrscher core. Daughtery, this is wronging us, Her Majesty the Empress ordered, but let us get along well with the people who broke the world. Fu Hua, law of knowledge. If you're not interested, just don't mess with me. Zil Levi, and if you're not interested, just don't mess with me. Ye Rin, hey, why aren't everyone interested? Ye Sakura, because fools are bad people, Rin just ignores them. Chapter 21. Under the dark sky, on the rooftop of a high-rise building, Kiana was choked by Mei and flung away. Kiana Kislana. Lightning Mei. The opening scene of the video stunned everyone on the spot. Dadalaya, by the way, it seems that the first video is Kiana pinching Mei's neck and beating her? Dadalaya, now the roles are reversed? Mutual domestic violence? Kiana Kislana, you are talking nonsense, there must be some misunderstanding, how could Mei hit me? I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Kiana shook her head like a wave drum, and only Mei was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. After all, it looks like this video is about her beating up Kiana. Moreover, in the video, she was beaten while she was very conscious, probably, it wasn't an accident. Give up. Mei said to Kiana indifferently. Collapsed on the ground, Kiana slowly climbed up while supporting the wire bit by bit. I won't let you go. The expression was firm, but it made people feel distressed. Xylan, there is a lot of information, did Mei cheat? Bronya Zajsik, unbelievable. Kiana Kislana, wow. Shut up, you two, it's so annoying, you two. Baranaz, Kiana broke the defense. Kiana Kislana, Gaia. I'm going to find the captain to clean you up, so that you can't come down for a few days. Zilfler, in joke, am I afraid of the captain? Go find him and see who will be cleaned up by that guy first. Sierfleri, table well, actually Xier really misses the captain, so let's go back after a while. Dadalaya, hiss. Walnut, hiss. Xiaogong, hiss. Ayaka Kamisato, how come? The relationship between Mr. Jiang Feng and everyone. In the tea room, Jiang Feng was drinking tea calmly. Li Sushang, who was playing games with Cheng Lixiu, couldn't hold back anymore. Hey, Captain, what does Kiana and the others mean? You are not secretly playing some fun games behind my back, are you? Xiao Litzi looked at Jiang Feng suspiciously. The latter was so frightened that he coughed again and again. Ahem, hee, a little game, just a little game. If you have a game to play, you don't tell me what type it is. I want to play it too. Teach me quickly and play it for me. Xiao Litzi grabbed Jiang Feng's hand and shook it vigorously, feeling the huge justice in Xiao Litzi's chest. Jiang Feng was startled. Good guy, there is a big difference between the two Shenzhou tablets and Fuhua. This game can't be played easily, you are still young. Hey? I'm hundreds of years old, and you say I'm still young. Jiang Feng. Just because of your dying appearance. Mei said indifferently, leaning her body sideways. Qiana squeezed her fist, and swung it towards Mei. With my fist. In Wuyu Pavilion, Qiana's head was buried in Mei's justice and she cried bitterly. In the video, the two of them are playing for real. It can be said that they were controlled during the Queen's advent, but the two of them were obviously in a good state of mind, but they fought harder than when the Queen arrived. It's outrageous. Slightly dodging all kinds of attacks from Qiana, Mei seems to be able to handle it with ease. Immediately, the BGM diva of the collapsing world also followed the fight between the two. Mei Yi kicked Qiana away easily with a thunderous kick, and there was no change in her expression. It hurts, Mei, you hit too hard. Sorry. Qiana sighed, she didn't know what to say while hugging Qiana Mei. After all, I don't know what happened just by watching the video. The only thing I know is that Qiana wanted to stop him from leaving, and he beat up Qiana. Moreover, it seems that the real fire is about to hit, and the lightning is used. During the fight with Mei, Qiana grabbed Mei's feet and wanted to take the opportunity to break them. Even if she broke her legs, she was determined not to let Mei leave her. However, Mei, who is highly skilled in martial arts, easily broke free from Qiana's control, and after hitting her flying with a punch, she was hit hard again. Qiana, who flew upside down on the chair, had no intention of ending it at all. She easily pulled the chair off the steel concrete and threw it towards Mei. A flash of thunder flashed, and the chair made of steel broke into two halves. The moment Qiana rushed over, Mei used her hand to turn into a knife, and continuously slashed at Qiana's body. The following blow, carrying part of the power of the Herrscher of Thunder, sent Qiana flying an extremely long distance, thick smoke billowing. At this moment,
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना?